Hey guys, this is Jonathan from Burjamar Productions. We're going to talk about something a little different today. I'm taking a break from showing you our terribly, terribly expensive hobby that we have in our collection. And I want to talk about books. Now, in case you saw the title of this, I'm still going to classify this in the We Love the Movies section, even though this one is more me than both me and my brother, Michael. But I'm going to classify it in there because I don't know, you'll see what I mean once I get going. And we're going to talk about movie books today. Now, I am not talking about movies that are based on books. I could go on and have a serious philosophical discussion about the differences between books and movies, especially dealing with things like Hunger Games and Hunger Games books and Harry Potter, some of the old Stephen King books and their adaptations of movies. I could talk a lot about that. I'm not going to. That's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to talk about something a little different. What I'm particularly referring to is novelizations of books. Now, what that is after a movie has come out that was not based on a book at all, somebody will release a novelization of it. Basically take the movie and put it in a book form. But what's interesting about these is you can get more information than you did from the movies. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean the information is accurate. This is just somebody that just wrote a book and took the basic screenplay and maybe just added a little bit here and there. Some of it is really cool. Some of it is fantastic. Some of it makes the story make more sense. And I wanted to talk about this because I've been watching the Resident Evil movies today. I actually have watched the first 4 already. Probably going to watch the 5th one before I go to bed. And I vaguely remember, as I was watching the second one, I vaguely remember it seemed that I read a novelization of the second one time, and there was an interesting tidbit in the novelization that I left out of the movie. And I actually had to do some research to find out because that movie came out a while ago. I couldn't remember for certain, and I don't own the book. I just read it one time, and I actually was accurate. I actually was remembering correctly that in the novelization, Alice ended up killing the little girl Angela, but that doesn't matter. But it got me thinking about movie novelizations and things, so I wanted to talk about some. Now, I have some. I don't have a lot. Actual movies, I only have 4 of them, and I have 3 things to show you that are TV, that are from TV shows. So I just kind of want to go through and show you the benefits of these. Let's start with this one, Dark Knight Rises. Well, yes, I know this one is kind of difficult to count because it is something that's based off of something that, already existed in print form. Yes, it's based off a comic book, but the movies are completely different. And this one especially, there's not a lot of extra added information. It's more like small extra details. Some of these have information that really change your whole view of the plot. This one is more small details that the movie missed, especially when Bruce is in the prison and is trying to escape. They spend quite a good amount of time on that. A lot more information, a lot more look into his psychological state of what's going on in his head during that prison stay. And there's a lot more about Bane in it. You really get into his head a little bit more, and I liked that. It's an interesting look into the character that you don't necessarily get just watching the movie. In the movie there's no real emotion with Bane's character. And they did that on purpose until the very end when it reveals who he was. But In the book, you get a little bit of that, just little glimpses here and there. Since we're sticking to the comic book, I'll go with Constantine. Now, I love this one. I loved the movie. I thought Keanu Reeves did a fantastic job in it. Yes, I realize that a lot of people are saying that it wasn't an accurate representation of the character. From what little bit I've read from the Hellblazer comics, he did a decent job representing the character. The book is really interesting. You get a lot more about him. You find out a lot more about his relationship with Papa Midnight. He has a quote unquote girlfriend in the book who is a devil, like an actual she demon. And you just get all this little extra information about who he is as a character. You actually get a little bit of a backstory about how he met Chaz, his driver, and you find out a lot more about Papa Midnight's club. Like, there's a lot of extra detail about it, and it's just really neat. And it's some of the stuff, like if you read the book and then watch the movie, you'll see little scenes that you're like, okay, I have more information about this from the book. It doesn't necessarily count dealing with the movie, but it clicks a little something in your brain that you're like, okay, I understand this a little bit more. Like, I understand who this character is supposed to be. And that's why I like these so much. These next two, we're going to go a little bit back in time. Waterworld. Yes, I know. I not only own this movie and own the extended cut of this movie, but I own the novelization for this movie too. I don't care. I love this movie. I always have. I think it's a fantastic movie. I think it's a brilliant idea for a movie. And I think it got a lot of unnecessary hate. People say, oh, it's the worst movie ever. Oh, it was such a bomb, which, by the way, do a little research into the numbers here. It wasn't a bomb. It made money, so that means that it wasn't a bomb. But I don't care. You guys just say whatever you want. I fucking love this movie. And I love the novelization too. For the same reasons I love all these novelizations. You get more information. And this one specifically, you get some big information, like the main character's backstory. You actually get a backstory for the Mariner, which is what he's called in the movie and throughout the novel too. If you ever watch the director's cut of the movie, he gets a name at the very end. He also does here in the book. They put that in here. Jean Triplehorn's character. I can't remember her name. But after they find the island, it turns out that what dry land is actually Mount Everest. On the top of it, and they give him the name Ulysses. But you actually get a backstory in this one. Like, he talks about his mom. That's how he learned to read. His mom taught him how to read. That he actually was born on dry land. He was, and just a lot of really interesting information about his character, and it kind of changes it, you know. But there you go. And now this one I love. Back to the Future Part 3, the novelization. Yeah, don't ask me where I found this. I honestly have no idea where I found this thing. But I did, I have it, I've read it many times. And the one interesting bit of information in this one, and you gotta remember, this is a movie that took place in 1885. And all of this took place before the original, and they actually give an explanation of why Strickland is so hard on Marty. And the reasoning is because Biff's great grandfather, whatever it is, Mad Dog Tannen, actually kills Marshall Strickland, who is obviously the great-great-grandfather, whatever it is, of Professor Strickland. But apparently the family blames the McFly family, because the only reason why Biff ended up killing them, I don't know, it was something I don't remember all the details, but it was something to do with the duel that McFly was supposed to have with Shannon. But I found it really interesting, and that's in here. And I had heard rumors that they actually shot that scene for the movie, but they never ended up putting it in there because they thought it was a little bit too dark, to actually have him kill, to actually show a murder in it. And I agree with them that I don't think it would have been right for the movie, but it's interesting to read about it in the book. That's all I have for movies. Those are the only 4 I have that are actually movies. I know I have a couple more somewhere, most likely still up in Missouri with the rest of my books that I'm still missing. This one's kind of intriguing too. This is actually a one-off Heroes novel called, Saving Charlie. And it's called The Untold Story of Hero and Charlie. Now, if you remember Heroes at all, I don't know if you do, it was the first season. Hero and Ando stop at a diner in West Texas. Hero befriends the waitress there named Charlie, who had a little bit of a special gift, but she ends up getting killed by Siler. So Hero decides to travel back in time to warn her and to try to save her. He ends up traveling back almost 6 months back in time. And they show a little bit of stuff in the show, like little bits about his time that was spent in the past and him befriending and falling in love with Charlie. This tells the whole story in a lot more detail, from the moment that he goes back in time to the moment that he catches up to where Ando is, waiting for him. And it's really interesting. It's a very good read. It's a very interesting read. It adds a lot more to the story. Hero was my favorite character in the series, and it was nice to see that story, because I thought because it was a very pivotal story in his character arc. And it was that the character of Charlie came back so many times. He always referred to her, she didn't actually come back, she dies, she stays dead. But it was an important person in his life and in the character's life, and it really changed a lot of things. So I thought it was interesting that they actually gave us a book that explained that whole story more and gave us a lot more insight into it. I have something else. Now these two I'm somewhat counting, even though they are official. They're not just novelizations based on something that somebody wrote. These are actually official releases from the creators of the show. The first one is Volume 1 of the Heroes graphic novel, which is really interesting. It's really cool. I've read it many times. It gives you, this is basically all like side stories, like stuff that you didn't see in the show, but that you maybe heard about, or characters that you got small, brief introductions to, but they didn't flesh out any. That's what this is giving you, and some of it is really cool. Again, one of them is actually discussing this. Him trying to figure out him after Hero comes back and catches up to the modern day, it's later, and he's trying to figure out what went wrong, why, if there was any way that he could go back and still try to save her, even though he can't because she has a brain tumor. And this one, this is my baby. Firefly Celebration. Now this is basically anything that you could ever want to know about Firefly. And it has every single episode in here. And what the episodes are, you can see that. They are literally just the script for the episode. Print it out. No changes. There's no new information. I'm only showing you this because I don't get a chance to show this off very often, and it's fantastic. If you're a fan of Firefly, you've got to try to get this book. It's expensive, but you've got to try to get it. I got it as a gift from my loving brother Michael, who knows me so well. But there's no changes to the story. There's no new insights into the character. It is literally the shooting script for every episode, just printed on paper. But it's still interesting. It's interesting to be able to basically read the show. And there's a lot more stuff in here. You know, there's so much behind the scenes stuff. There's so many interviews with everybody. There's interviews with all of the main characters, a lot of the side characters that they had. Joss Whedon, Jed Whedon. You know, just there's stuff about the costumes, everything. Like I said, this one doesn't really count on what I want to talk about. I just wanted to show it off. But if you're a fan of movies, and if you're a fan of a particular movie that is just a movie, I'm not talking about a movie that's already based on a book, although if you're a fan of a movie that's based on a book, pick up the book and read it. Find it somewhere. Like if you're, I know people that are fans of the Harry Potter movies but have never read the books. Now, I'm mostly okay with that, even though it annoys me a little bit, being as big of a Harry Potter fan as I am. But I recommend to you, if you're a fan of a movie based on a book, pick up the book and read it. It's going to change your perspective of the movie. It's not going to mean you don't like the movie anymore. Most likely. There are some exceptions to that. But if you're a fan of a movie that is just a movie, and it's like one of your favorite movies, do a search. See if anybody ever made a novelization based off it, like one of these. And if they have, try to pick it up. It's not going to change that. It's only going to make the movie better. Because you're literally getting what's already in the movie with some extra stuff added in. It's going to give you a better insight into some of the characters. It's going to give you more information that you didn't know. Now, yes, that information isn't necessarily canon. I mean, just take a look at the Star Wars novelizations. For a long time, a lot of those were considered canon. That they fit into the storyline, into all the timeline, into the universe that was created. Now they're not, you know, with a few rare exceptions. But they give you more information, and they're just fun. They're fun to read. They're fun to go through. I just recommend it. Give it a shot. You'd be surprised at how much fun they can be. That's all for this time. I'll get back over there to the corner to our collection in the next video. And if you can see the computer behind me, you'll notice it's open to YouTube. I'm uploading a video right now. So by the time you watch this, it'll already been out for at least a day or so. I got another one in the can, plus this one. I'm going to try to get them all up by this weekend. So, thanks for watching, and keep on hunting.